Mimi nishaambiwa graduates wanafaa kupika hadi chai. And nilikuwa nateswa huko. You know, I find it very interesting by the way that you've said you would choose to hire millennial because no, it's not even because you're fellow Gen Z, because you're gonna run out of millennials. Like, who is coming up next? It's Gen Z and Gen Alpha. That is who is coming into the workspace.
Why are you feeling oppressed?
Fair question, fair point.
Yeah.
I think the kind of general nini is that Gen Z are difficult to work with, right? And I think we are.
Not necessarily.
And I think we are. I think it's necessary, right? Yeah. Sometimes. I think you've mentioned it at a point, corporate culture, right? And systems I understand. And systems policies, and structure, 100%, you have to be run on something.
Yes.
But I think it's very dismissive of what you're saying. We don't know you, whatever, Mateso. Because me personally, if I told you my story of things I have endured in the name of, I'm looking for experience, because I'm also in the construction industry. Yeah. I understand what you mean. I cannot wake up and nipewe project 100 million leo. No, I cannot. And I'm not
trust you with that.
And I'm not expecting that.
So what are you expecting?
Hold on. Hold your horses.
Welcome to the DC, the Dingy Corner podcast.
Yeah, so once again, karibuni tena to this lovely show. We hope you are following us and you're, keeping up to, our comments section and all that. Please follow all our pages. Like I mentioned, today's topic is about Gen Zs at the workplace. And for this, we have the panel over here. We just want to discuss the situation. I don't know kama mona hii video ilikuwa na trend ya Gen Zs wakiongelelea story ya workplace penye wanasema they have rights, they have situations where they need to, places where they need to be, and things they need to do, and yet the workplace is holding them back. So someone is probably meant to be at work at some point, but then they end up not being at the workplace because they have to attend to their personal stuff. So I think, Keith, just as we start the show, I just want to bring us back to like where we have come from and up to where we are, then we can bring in the panel. So basically, I think for me, if you ask me, where we grew up, there was a structure. There was structure straight from home up to, like even within your uncles and your aunties and everyone else. Even within, if your brother says something, you have to go by it or upate kiboko. So I would just like to get your views on, or rather tell the viewers and the audience that maybe a short vibe about all that.
What I can say is that when in our upbringing or in our education, the education system, we have been nurtured or educated to finish school and look for employment, So from that, generally, we are forced to stick to employment, finish school, go look for employment. And once you are in employment,
you leave your mother's place, your father's home, and you find your own.
Once you leave and begin your employment, you rarely want to mess around with work because you've been taught to know that work is the main thing that brings food to the table, right? So I think there's a new wave that is coming up. I think the Gen Zs have a different view or something like that. But yeah,
maybe just even before you go to them, I think I'd want to mention this. Growing up, and I know the community was not necessarily, currently what happens is that kama sayo ukishika mtoto wa mtu ati umempata akifanya kitu mbaya, there's nothing much you can do about it. You can only look and maybe mention it to the parent, but back then, if my neighbor's dad, the dad or the mom found me doing something silly, they would first discipline me. And then they would take me crying to my dad or mom, and I get to be whooped once again. So we respected the community and the family so much so that we had a certain way of upbringing, as opposed to now where like the Gen Zs, you don't touch them, you don't do anything, you can't tell them anything, and even the current government right now knows that you can't really touch the Gen Zs. So maybe just to bring it to our guest, our lovely guest, Alexis. What's your experience and what's your view on this video that is trending?
Okay, my view is I would 100% agree with the people who are talking about it. I agree with them, by the way, and I feel like times have changed. We need to embrace these new systems that are coming. Kitambo, you used to be treated as a child until maybe you're like, well, they see like effort. Nowadays, when somebody is like 10, a teenager, who see mtoto, this is somebody you can literally sit with them down, have a one-on-one conversation, but in a teenage friendly way. This person is maybe 19, 20, the same way you can have a discussion with them. But not like your time, ilikuwa bado you're still like 17, but you can be whooped. But I feel like you will whoop me, itaisha. But you haven't instilled to me the like, why is this wrong? No, you have not shown me the importance of why is this bad and why should I take this direction. With us, you need to talk to us. Uniambie, this is wrong, but also give me an alternative solution. Kitambo you're just whooped, but huku unapewa solution.
I'd say maybe it's slightly different because for us it was real time discipline. Like you are found standing on the road with a chick. Discipline is there and there. You know what you have done. Definitely, it's not like you don't know. You guys want to be talked to, but even being talked to also, you have, I don't know if opinionated is a word that can be used, like you're so opinionated that you don't want to...
It's more of westernized. I think we've borrowed, the current crop of generation has borrowed more from from abroad. Being that, like, I know, maju wezi guza mtoi, hata kupigia 911, ama ni whatever number inatumikanga huko, utakujua na cops, so wezi guza mtoi. So they use other ways to make sure you, like kuna video nimeona mother fulani anaambianga watu wake ati akona marelaz in Africa.
I saw that.
You saw the video. Yeah, ati akona marelaz wake Africa. She makes sure anatafuta wale either
like
anamwambia
like in hunger place.
ati imagine that's my sister.
That's your sister. If you
I'll take you back.
I will leave you like her.
Utarudi Africa. So huyo mtu anajua mimi sitaki kwenda kuishi kwa hiyo maisha. Anyway, maybe your views, Chau?
Hapo kwa discipline and being raised, naomba nijitoe kidogo kwa Gen Z because my mother alinitwanga. That lady did not joke about that one. However, on the other hand, I do appreciate the modern ways of kind of raising children because at the very least you have to admit that it inspires some level of creativity in how you have to bring up this kid. Because you have to discipline them still at some point. But you also, because I think a big part of that discussion is coming from unajua like utachapa and then you'll be told mimi nakupenda ni makosa ndio nachapa. But also telling someone that I am beating you because I love you. Later on in life, we kind of have this discussion saying someone is in an abusive relationship and they can, like, I can yenyewe ananipenda. Like you can still have that relationship. I think that those are kind of the things we're trying to walk away from. But in relation to how I was brought up, please, mimi nilichapwa.
So you are
punishment.
You're in both spaces. Like
I understand.
You understand the whole situation. Sheila, your views as a HR towards the situation that we are in right now. Okay. Maybe if you can just delve into that.
First off, I think across board we are all agreeing that times have changed. But as times have changed, I also feel like I would like to lean more on what she said, on that, like there needs to be a balance between both worlds, because then again we are trying to achieve a balanced person or a balanced adult, because I think a part of the issues with the Gen Zs is they are more opinionated, and then they forget we need to bring a balance in our opinion so that we can make this complete a balanced adult. So I kind of feel like as much as we're talking about change, as much as we're talking about opinion, as much as we're talking about discipline, there needs to be a balance to everything.
Okay. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Now just bringing us back to the video. So the Gen Zs have come out very strongly and very opinionated towards the workspace. So basically what they're saying is that I think you've seen the videos. You can share your thoughts. The parts where they're saying if I'm supposed to be at work, but then there's this XYZ that I need to do on the side, I'll drop this and do this and then come and face the consequences later. And some have even gone to the extent to say that I would rather lose my job and do my own personal stuff. But then again, are they really focused on their careers and all that? Because you see, at the end of the day, my thoughts are, if I am the employer, I've invested money into this business. I have invested all the resources that are required to bring up this business. Then you come with your own opinions, and probably you are, for most of the Gen Zs, might be that they are interns or they are just newly into these jobs. They have a big career, a long way ahead of them to develop into. But then from the onset, they're not taking things as seriously as the owner of the company. Because if I'm looking at it as the owner of the company, being that I've probably pumped in some monies into this and I want this to work, and I'm bringing in fresh, new brains from, this crop of generation towards, coming up to this level of employment. Your thoughts, Alexis?
Okay, my thoughts are, concerning the video, first of all, let me address that. The video was like, I need to pull up at work the time I want. No, maybe because I have some other errands to run. I do agree with that, because talking from my perspective, I'm in the construction industry. Most of the people, wengi ni wazee, the contractors, the engineers, the what. Not to generalize, but a good number of them believe that, for example, if I'm dealing with a casual, they believe that anafa aingie saa 2 amalize 5 atakuwa ameachieve za days work. Also to a corporate setup, there are people who believe that you have to be in the office by 8 and leave at 5, you have achieved a day's work. But when it comes to us, time haimanishi. Unaweza fika hiyo 8 ushinde ofisi mpaka 5, you do the work but you don't do it correctly, ama you do kakazi kadogo but umeshinda ofisi. Unacheki the people you find ako kwa ofisi, but hata yeye ni receptionist, but mtu kama hapo anachutu gum a notice, unaona. Sisi tuna believe that naweza ingia ofisi time nataka, but if the goal of the day ni achieve the goal of today's, regardless of the time, whether I come 30 minutes and I achieve that goal, it's okay. But wewe unataka unione 8 to 5 ndo believe ni uta achieve goal yako ya that particular day. To me, I believe like naweza amka asubuhi niende ni buy clothes, I thrift them, I come to your office at around saa 5, I do jobo kabisa, I finish by saa 8, I go do my other errands. Lakini wanataka niingie saa 2 na nitoke 5.
So maybe
don't believe nimefanya kazi.
Just a quick question. You said you're in the construction industry, right? Now, in the construction industry, work is done in phases, right?
Exactly.
Wewe ni Gen Z na wewe ni mtu wa mkono, right? Cement is supposed to be delivered to, say, Peles Flani at 8 in the morning, and you're not there.
So my scenario is this. If supposed to be delivered by 8, mimi nitakuja 8, nibebe hiyo cement ama do whatever I want. By 10 nishamaliza niende home nifanye shughuli. Lakini unataka nikuje 8, ushinde umeniona. Naweza kuja 8 nibebe simiti moja, nikuje 9 nibebe ingine, ikuje 10 nibebe. Naweza kuja 8 to 9 nibebe 100 and I'm done and I go home to do some, to thrift my own things ama to do some my things, lakini wanataka nikikuwa 8 to 5 bora umeniona tu kwa hiyo kampuni ama kwa nini ndio unasikia yes mshahara yako haiendi bure.
So okay.
But I can come 2 hours and I maximize hata kazi ya whole week within
maybe just before
2 hours.
What's your perspective on that particular point?
She's raising a very important perspective of everything, which is productivity, which I think is one of the conversations which has seeped into the boardrooms today, like the productivity. If I'm supposed to pull up at work between 8 to 5, like how productive am I? If I come, let's say between 8 to maybe 10 or 9, like she's asking, like she's raising. However, I'd like to put this question forward. You're working within a construction industry, right? But you're working with other people. Wewe unabeba tu cement, but kuna driver wa hiyo truck, maybe kuna some other guy who is supposed to store them, take inventory and store them, you know. At some point, huyu mse mwenye anafaa ku take inventory na kufanya store, they might need your count, you understand? They might need your count to jua wewe ulibeba simiti ngapi, na ni simiti ngapi zimenifikia. Dereva alitoa simiti ngapi kwa company na ngapi wewe zilikufikia, you understand? So I kind of feel like however much you want to be productive within the hour, then how collaborative is your work going to be?
Like there is the teamwork part.
Yes, there is a teamwork
that you have to accept that there is teamwork.
Yeah. But that is why I mean nasema delegate my duties. If you have delegated my duties to like mimi I'm supposed to do this, mimi I will come ensure I have done this and I make kitu nitafanya, I'll make sure that 1 or 2 hours I pull up at the office, I'll be productive enough to finish my tasks so that I can hand them over na niende shughuli, but not that at least I come nifanye kidogo alafu niende. No, I'll make sure the duties that I'm supposed to do within today I will merge, nijaribu within a period of time and then nimepull up.
But then again, if let's assume you're supposed to do the carrying of the cement from this point to this point, and then next task is maybe waiting for the cement to be, you know, mixed up and then transferred to, you know, if it's somewhere else, but then you're not there. What happens?
That is why I've told you, first of all, the issue is I need to know my task. Task yangu ni kubeba, okay, from point, okay, nikibeba, do I have another task? Waniambia maybe you will have to wait zikorogwe, then after zimekorogwa tena ubebe. Hiyo period ya kuwait badala nishinde nimekaa hivi simi nikimbia nifanye erandi yangu, nirudi masaa ya hiyo tena yaku.
I kind of disagree
as long
with
as
that.
I kind of proper communication.
Okay. I kind of disagree with that because at the end of the day, we are a company, we are a team. And I think apart from just the work that we do to a company, we are here also to grow together and collaboratively. So ukikuja hizo 2 hours uhepe uende, tuseme huyu mse wa store alikuwa na issue, tutakupigia simu to confirm kama ulifanya 1 2 3 ama itabidi tukupigie simu. Well, that's confirm.
Let me tell you, nitaka kwa ofisi nigoje confirm physically.
Yes,
no, if I have something else to mimi, may feel like kitu ya kwanza ni delegate me my duties. I know my duties ni 1 2 3. Ndio hiyo 2 hours nitakam nikamnifanye 1 2 3 ndo niende. Samuel, what's your opinion?
Okay, on the video, first of all, I know because tumezunguka. I know I think know your audience or know the career or the environment that you're in, right? You can't be a banker and want to go to work at 10. Jamini, banks zinafunguliwa saa ngapi? You can't be a doctor and want to work from home. You know there are people who you just given the industry you're in, that kind of flexibility might not be available to you, you know? But on the other hand, following up with what she's saying or what you are arguing about, there's something, especially, of course, even the 9 to 5 we have, or corporate as we have it today, we borrowed from the West, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and something that is being tried out or being studied even there is asynchronized working, if you're getting what she's saying. So long as my task is, however we are breaking down these tasks, is you're giving me the deadline that by, if, okay, we are A, B, C, D people, right? A needs to be done so that B is done, so that C is done, so that E is done. Give A their deadline, give B their deadline, so that I don't tell you, I just tell her that by tomorrow, this time, this work needs to be given. However, tajipanga, kama ta work the whole night, ama ta work during the day, so long as by this point, because now the next person needs to pick up. So there's asynchronized working. We might not have picked it up here, but it is a system that exists.
Yes,
Right?
that's true. And I began by saying, like, some conversations are seeping in the boardroom, like having hybrid working arrangements.
Yeah.
That is seeping in our working environment. But what she's saying is that she wants to come to work at 8, beba cement at 10, aende athrift Gikomba, arudi saa 6 tena achape job, aende tena apige lunch. You know, that's what she's saying, yeah. But that's I think that cannot work in a corporate culture where we have ethics and, you know, programs and whatever
And structures.
and structures that we're working with.
Yeah.
What can work is incorporating a hybrid system into your work routine so that you have so that you're able to know, you know what, on Tuesday I'm not going to the office.
That is what I'm saying. My point is not necessarily nimekam nimebeba nimeenda. Me, I'm like, I need to know my duties. The same way she has said, I need to know my duties and when they are needed to be done. Do mimi, for example, today maybe you need me to do your ABCDs. No, I come to the office, I manage to do my ABCD maybe by 8, maybe by Satano. Satano, I am sure nime hand over your uko sawa, nimeridhika. But ikifika hiyo saa 5 you still want me to be in that space, nimechill tu niko TikTok. But mimi hiyo saa 5 I'm looking, I'm like, yo, neza fika nifanye ka 1 2 na nirudi.
Okay, you make a point, but I think it also just goes by what she's mentioned, that it depends on the industry that you're in, such that if it's maybe in your space it can work, but in a bankers or doctors, or because a doctor is always on he's on standby for any eventuality in the hospital, because maybe there's an emergency or there's, you know, so in some cases it might work, in some cases it might not work. Yeah,
Still on the video, the whole like portraying from your job, like kesi badaye, you can call it a kesi badaye culture. I think it's easy to look at Gen Z and be like, we are entitled or opinionated or something, but right, by law you are mandated X amount of days for sick leave and for leave. How often does it happen that you go to ask for that sick leave na unakatazwa? So you need to realize that yes, like as much as I believe that you should respect that, you know, this is someone's business, their establishment, they have put time and money and effort into it. Please remember that you're just a cog in the wheel. If the company goes under, you could die, they will forget about you that far. If you die today, by the time you're being put into the ground, they have replaced you. Please remember that you're very replaceable to these people, right? And I think there's a general, I don't know if it's a lack of, I don't know how to say humanity or something, because I am telling you I am sick, right? And it's very often you hear these things. You're going to ask for sick leave, na unakatazwa, but you're physically sick. And if you go to that office the next day and you're sick, you're going to be slow, you're not even working. Unataka tu wakuone hapo. So now you as a person, if you die, will they replace you to your parents? No. Take that sick leave. At the end of the day, you are an individual before you are a member of corporate.
That's correct, and that is really true. That sick leave sick leave should be granted, right? But there are processes and procedures in most organizations. Like you can't just wake up and say I am sick. Of course, unaweza kuamka when I'm sick, ndio? But there's a process of reporting, right? So you have to report and say that you are sick, ndio? And also we know that there are individuals who have misused the sick leave, and because of that,
I would like you to elaborate what you mean misuse.
By misuse, I mean mtu ataamka aseme ako mgonjwa na
akona hangi
na maybe akona hangi, you know, and then now ama akona hizo masherehe wanataka kwenda kupiga or something like that, like they have their own personal thing outside work that they want to do, and they decide to use sick leave as a way out to go and do their things. It's okay, it's fine, you have done that, but now there should be evidence based. That's why after umekuwa msick, umereport, wamekukubalia ufanye nini, uende hosi, ukuje na medical report from a doctor, you know. Because of the misuse, that's why some HR or your supervisors will be reluctant to give you sick leave. Also, your your work history, hujaamka tu na ukaanza kufanya kazi hapo, just like that. Like there will be a period that you have been working and they have been seeing how you have been behaving and all that, and that builds up. If they can trust that ukisema you're sick, you really are sick, because generally we know. Yeah? Some of us have used the sick leave. Have used the sick leave.
Really culprit.
I'm a culprit, yes. At the point I wanted to do my shit, nikasema nini? I'm sick, I'm not coming to work, and because of that, now kuna kwa hizo consequences na kwa hard for just giving.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but I want to look at it like on kind of 2 points. If you were ever in boarding school at some point, kuna sometime unaenda kwa nurse na anakataa kukupea sick leave ya kwenda home. And it goes to a point when kids were dying in schools, right? Ndio maybe now they became lenient. But for a big part of being in boarding, it was very, you would have to be, wanaona enyewe unaenda kuanguka, ndio wakukubalie hiyo sick leave. So that's the thing that I'm asking is, who now becomes gatekeeper of your sick enough? No. You're sick enough to warrant, or even, yes, even the way you're saying, by government you're mandated X amount of ninis, of sick leaves, right?
Yeah.
Why is corporate the one to fine? I might not be sick.
No, but it's actually regulated by the HR. There's a policy.
There's a policy.
Yes. Maybe
let me ask. The two of us, we are babes. I might be having very bad cramps. Now, how do you want me? And there are people who have ile cramps yenye you cannot function without medicines, indio?
Yeah.
Now, I am having a really bad, I want to take sick leave on that, but you require me to give you a doctor's note. How do I provide a doctor's note for that? But even you as a woman, inaweza kuwa mbaya.
But she's the one who's denying you.
Yeah, but you're the one who's denying me.
No, I think you've brought a very interesting conversation that is about the menstrual conversation. I wouldn't want to go so much into it because we are still scratching the surface on that conversations and how we can incorporate it or how we can how it comes into the corporate setup. Yeah. But what I'm going to say is kitu kidha lisema, people have misused the sick offs. Yeah. So definitely, as someone who's being checked by my boss, I need also to check you. Yeah. So I need to come up with a structure where I need you to be very responsible when you're reporting your sick leave.
And justified.
And justified. So at this point, acha niseme also, kama kuna mtu alinyimwa sick leave wenyewe akiwa mgonjwa, that was wrong. We are human and we exist. Yeah, and any human can get sick. Even me, the HR, I can get sick. Yeah. But what we are saying is,
like you are sick. Mnakwanga job 24/7.
Like what I'm trying to say is, you woke up and you felt like you're ill, right?
Yeah.
The first thing you do definitely is call your line manager, right? So when you call your line manager, then they will be able to understand your problem, right? And then, of course, advise you on the next course of action, definitely according to the structures and the policies you have set. So now that process is supposed to actually communicate to everyone if actually you're sick. And this process is supposed to tell us really who is going to be doing your work. Like, let's say, for example, you're doing finance, right? You're supposed to do a P&L report maybe by Friday, but you're sick. Let's say you've been admitted. Who's going to do the P&L report? You understand? Yeah. So that's why we need you to go through the processes of reporting, the proper channels of reporting, so that also we can be able to do and to do what you're supposed to do on a daily without breaks. Yeah, that's one thing we need to know. The second thing is, I also feel like because you're sick, unajua kuna ile wanasema because ni mgonjwa hawa si wataelewa pia wao.
Utakuja kupambana
nao baadaye. Ni sawa tunaelewa, but I want you to be a CEO for a day, right?
Actually, that's where I was going to.
Yeah, I want you to be CEO for a day. 5 people across the floor wamesema wote wako sick off. Ni Monday wasema wote wako sick off.
Maybe walikuwa
na ball jana. So, tell me what do you feel as a CEO, or what do you think, or what would
as
you
in
do?
If you flip
if you flip the coin.
Yeah, the coin. Yeah. And then now you're the one who is on top. This is your company. Yeah. This is what.
Those 5
and don't forget.
No, not necessarily agencies.
Yeah, and don't forget, we have set for you the policies, the structures for reporting. We have told you, we have no problem if you're sick and you want to go for sick leave. We just need you to go through if you're going to get that job, go tell that doctor, you know what, me, I'm working and I need to tell my boss I'm working and I'm sick. So please write for me a small sheet. You know, it's something so straightforward, something you can do. So the question is, if we flip the coin, what would be your thoughts on the same?
If we flipped the coin and I was the one in management.
Yes.
And you have 5 people sick.
5 people sick.
First of all,
Thank you very much. Thank you. That answers. Your
No,
silence
let me answer
answers
Your
it.
silence
Let
is
me
enough.
answer it. You have 5 people sick.
Yes.
Depends on which roles do these people play in there.
And
in
you're
the
the head.
company.
You're the head of the company.
Yes, I'm the head of the company. Unaweza pata within the 5 people tuanza kueliminate wawili ni cleaners.
Me?
Cleaners, for example. They don't have that. Those are the people neza at least nakubali. Kuna ule mwenye ni necessity. So if it's something that I would like, okay, nita check on those 5 people. Nani ndo important role yake, nani who's needed today. If A, B, and C is needed today, I would really
I think
request them, they come, then I give them an off the following.
Let me
C and D.
So they are sick.
But already ushamnyima sick of your siku kwa mgonjwa.
let me jump in. These agencies.
The 5 of them.
Yes. Wewe ndio mdosi wao. Let's say you are a millennial, for example. This is your company.
Hata wetu ni
Hata
Gen Z tu bado,
maybe
but
you may inherit
you
property inherit wealth from your folks, and now you're running this company, and then they're your age mates, and 5 people have come and have not come to work today, and there's this pile of work that needs to be cleared. What's your thought on that?
I think I would ask the agency of the matter. That is what I'm saying.
It needs to be clear.
I need to know, Nani, like you ask them, can you make up for today, then tomorrow you can take a day off. Ama can you show up just for 2 hours, usort A and B, then you can now.
Sasa yuko kwa barabara unaenda Naivasha ama unaenda sijui Namanga.
Like
Nyinyi mshaondokea. I don't know if you get me. Maybe it's a plot by the 5 of you. Mshaingia gari mshaenda. Based on the video.
So there's no possibility of anyone coming.
The conversation was that mimi nataka kwenda kupiga happy. So watu kiamkuja 2 hours hautakuja. Either uko intoxicated or unajua maybe mko mbali, so you cannot necessarily come. Huo unataka kujua mimi nimeenda, nimeshow up, nimejibamba, nimerudi. And maybe it's the 5 of you from the same company. You're the head.
But I think I'll go back to set na tete sana, but I think I'll go back to hawa kama ni Gen Z before waende hizo, if it's a setup where they're lying, it's like they're not sick, ni wameshikana tu watano, they have a gig or something.
No, you don't know
if
about
it's that setup, I believe like watakuwa make sure if there's an need wamefanya hiyo kazi.
If you look at the video, it was like mimi kesi baadaye. Kesi baadaye. Mimi sisemi nimeenda wapi, I just switch off my phone, tutaongea nikirudi. Na kama pia unataka kunichuja job, wewe ni chu.
So that is where the conversation is. Yes. Ni wewe you as a CEO to know this is your company.
No, it's you answering that question.
To you. Me, if it was me the CEO, I think I would figure my shit out. Get new employees. Si wamemwa, they go ama. If they won't, I give them the alternative. You can show up for 2 hours, then tomorrow and the rest you can take off. In case they don't communicate, they don't do anything, you obviously hire new people at the end of the day.
then that lane justifies the millennials thinking that you are a bit irresponsible in the work.
But you know,
because then again, if kama unaniambia nijipange as a CEO, unaniambia nijipange, unaniambia I can fire you, it means like for you to go for that, you're not even responsible about this job. And you're not thinking about this company after a week. So I think the Gen Zs on this issue ya kutoka kwenda sherehe na kusema deal baadaye, it's irresponsibility, and I think we have proven that fact.
But me feel it's okay kidogo, yes, it's irresponsibility.
Kidogo, it is irresponsible.
Okay, but you find most of them will say like, I wanna bills, I wanna nini, maybe I live in my brother's house, or I live in my pop's house, I don't have bill, I'm going to this work. Ndo mamangu Jones kuja seme wewe kwa nini unashindaga tu kwa kitu kiwatch TV na wifi. Mimi naenda for that sake. So I don't care about, at the end of the day ni hivyo. Most people mtu atakuja sema hivyo ni Johanna bills and that work is just for the sake, for passing time.
I think there's actually a comment that came out very strongly that, I mean, the millennials wako na
mambo mingi,
wako na rent, wako na family, they have to take care, so like they become a bit more responsible, being that they know what lies behind them.
Yes.
No.
And for you guys, like you mentioned, which has come out very clearly, you
I
don't have responsibilities.
That brings a very different dynamic. Yeah, Sheila. Are you going to employ Gen Zs?
Over millennials.
Just listening to what she says right now, I'd think a million times over before employing a Gen Z. Because then again, by the time I'm employing someone, I'm not just employing you to show up to work. You understand?
Yeah.
We are here. We are trying to make money. We are trying to make changes. We are trying to build a company. We are trying to impact a society. So ukiniambia wewe unakuja tu just because mamako asikuone kwa couch, then for me it doesn't. For me,
but
like,
you know, when you're interviewing me, you won't know me. I'll be like, my mom is like, go look for a job. So I come, I land in your company. I've done, my papers are good. At least I'm showing niko na interest. Then way later, after you have employed me, I feel in an overwhelm.
So that's
back at home, niko home na sifanyi shirt na niko fiti. Na sasa niko kazi, niko na stress. Na ningekuwa tu kwetu nimelala. Mbona unanipea stress?
I think swali ya Kidhi ilikuwa ni Gen Z akiniletea papers zake na millennial, like nitafanya nini? To be very honest, nitadisregard ya Gen Z, nichukue ya millennial, because you know what, this millennial understands what work means, understands what discipline means, understands what ethics means, policies, hizo vitu zote anaelewa. Na anajua like huyu ni msee hata amka leo asubuhi ambaye naenda na manga 5 days, sitaki kujua hizo stories zingine, hizo stories zingine shadila. I know for sure.
Another dynamic.
Yeah.
Another dynamic that comes in play. Gen Zs have been brought up in a very creative, like they're very creative. They are smart. They're very smart, and they say that if you want to give a hard task to someone, give it to the laziest person. They'll be more creative, and they will do it they'll find the shortest way possible. Also, there's that dynamic also. What do you think, Chao? Do you think mko na hizo technical skills mnafaa stick kwa mpewe jobs?
I find it very interesting by the way that you've said you would choose to hire millennial because no, it's not even because you're a fellow Gen Z, because you're gonna run out of millennials. Like, who is coming up next? It's Gen Z and Gen Alpha. That is who is coming into the workspace. And I think at some point you raised you said something that Gen Zs are mostly very entry level jobs, right? And I think this is very systemic. So I think it's hard because we are kind of picking, but it's systemic, right? We can look at it from how corporate culture works, how Gen Zs are, how we are viewed. Okay, there's also optics, how we are viewed, and also the whole 9-to-5 thing. Because we could argue that the 9-to-5 thing is kind of needs to be phased out and to allow for more hybrid work. Hybrid work would allow for kind of task-based. So long as you have given this and this and this, I don't need to see you in office between this and this hours. So long as you have done the work that needs to be done. There's so many studies right now, even looking into how differently introverts versus extroverts work. And you know, like how we kind of have the open plan spaces. Introverts would tend to perform way less in such settings, but that is what we're giving for everyone, right? Yeah. It is becoming very clear that you need to be working. Okay, I know we are not saying that now ukuje chawa nataka kufanya kazi aje nini. However, more task-based or more objective or more results-based work is what is seeming that Gen Z are kind of need that. And on the other hand, looking at millennials versus Gen Z, I think it's easy to look at you people and say that on one hand as a Gen Z that, you know, you people are taking all this crap from corporate and you're just bending over and taking it. We have options. We have had options like freelancing, the gig economy. I think corporate has seemed more like the stable option, you know, like, you know, your paycheck is coming at the end of the month, you know, this and this and this and this, which is why we're saying you need to have discipline to survive in such a setting, right? But your company could fire you tomorrow. And how many people have gone through that and have had to figure life out on the fly? And well, we're not saying it was easy for them figuring it out. We're just saying, I think in a culture, on the other hand, where we have so many options, I understand. I'm not saying I condone having a level of disrespect for someone's company or business you're potea in, But I understand also, on the other hand, there's so many other avenues for work. Because, sorry, look at it from the point here, graduates, right? We're getting into the system. We would be lying if we do not acknowledge the level of exploitation of graduates that exists in corporate culture. The people who are allowed to come to this table and negotiate for pay, for benefits, for time, is when corporate has deemed you worthy. Right? As a Gen Z getting in right now, which worthiness am I? They want you to have given 10, 20 years. Which should, and most of these companies getting right now, even most of the jobs, look at them right now, they're only advertising interns. And most of them are unpaid, right? These companies are getting a lot of unpaid free labor. They're not paying people in the name of, we're giving you hours, experience, right? Now, you have not given me a contract. I am not contractually obligated to be here. I wake up tomorrow, I don't come, I am the problem.
Okay.
You wouldn't pay, you are not paying me, you're not, but if I tell my father that has happened, hapana unafaa kuvumilia. Mimi nishaiambiwa graduates wanafaa kupika hadi chai. And nilikuwa nateswa huko. You know, you people are so used. Yes, I feel like the system has broken you people, and I kind of understand. You existed in this kind of time, grew up in the Moi era, this and this and this. Things don't change. You have been told things don't change. You try, you die, you know? You've been told that. Right? We have options. Like, I can look at it and understand that you're seeing it as irresponsible. And I don't think I agree with that, just portraying from someone's business for 5 days. However, I also understand that even a sick leave, like normal leave, what wanakatazwa, right? Or you're being told you've taken too many, too close together, right? And maybe I have, sometimes you're like, maybe even my life is falling into shit. If I come to that office, I'm not going to do any work. Like you get, but you're going to be forced to be you would be more productive in a different, I think we need to change. That's what I'm saying. For me, I'm looking at it from very different points. It's so systemic. I don't think it's easy or even fair to be like, no, it's so...
Maybe just I get where you're coming from. I totally understand. Maybe the on the flip is, if let's assume you're being paid, it's not like it's a you come to work, gain experience, and just assume that you have a contract that is binding, that has all your KPIs, expectations, and everything. Meanwhile, if we take this back to 2019, where we had the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, where like most companies were forced to send everyone to work from home. And I think that also changed a lot in terms of the dynamics of the workspace. And if ukiangalia fiti, hiyo time, which is true, because sometimes vitu zingine, and I think that's one of the reasons that made me just quit my job and just decided to be a freelance consultant. You're supposed to clock in, get to your desk. If you're seen running in the office, you're being asked questions, there's emails going out saying that I don't expect this of you, this goes to you. and maybe the lunch break is 1 hour, guys are taking an hour and a half. But then again, if you gave me this particular duty and asked me not to come to the office but deliver, it would still happen. So it's both. It's a balance in some sort, if you look at it that way.
Maybe to give some weight on that, I'd say the work from home thing is something new.
Is inevitable. It's inevitable. In the next few years.
It's inevitable, but it's something new. So before we go full in working from home and all that, and companies embracing that, there's if it's a corporate, there's that corporate culture that probably you have to, like when you're going there, if you're going to be employed by someone and this is our culture, you have to embrace in one way or another. You can't wake up and say that since company X they work from home, I'll also work from home. You can't.
Unless you quit here and then go.
Unless you quit here and go
work there.
That's right. Yeah, and then also I think like we mentioned at the beginning, there's teamwork and it's task based. Yes, but now usually. In most contracts, Sheila can add to that. There's usually any other duties assigned. yes, you want to work and live and go home at any time and all that, but we need to remember that there are any other duties that can be assigned to you. So you have to be available for those other duties. That's why sometimes they will deny to give you leave because there are some duties that you have to maybe complete before you can proceed for your leave. You are entitled to the 21 days. Some companies is 26, depending now on the company. Others is 18, depending on the company. So you're entitled to those days. You will be given. And if you're not given, I think usually there is a payment in lieu of leave. You can also claim that. Yes. If you can't pay that, then there is also a legal process you could follow up for that. Yes. Besides, wewe kujitoa, unasema, this is our culture, this is our thing, this is how we do it.
This is a new era. This is a new,
I think there's process, and you need to understand that.
Yeah. And also, I think she raised something. You've talked about something that I think people should be aware of in their workplaces. You should be aware of the systems, the structures, even the legal allowances in your contract. You should all be aware about all that, because these are the things which not only protect you but also direct you on your day-to-day. Now, she raised something and said, the only jobs available for Gen Zs would be entry level, which is very true. Most of them. Yeah,
have you tried the Nini right 9?
Yeah, because they are fresh from campus, so definitely they would transition to an entry level role. Yeah. So when you get to the entry level role, this is where the training happens. This is where you're taken through. This is where you're told, this is a company, we work like this. This is our culture. You have 21 days of leave, and you cannot take 21 days at once because we need you at work at this particular time. So I think you see that period you guys are running from experience, that period you're saying I'm not being paid, that period you're calling mateso, that period you're calling being used, that is where actually you get to learn about the corporate culture. That is where you get to learn the ins and the outs. And I must say this, that when you look at the most successful people, I right now I can't mention two, I'm sorry, but at least I know I've sat with 1-2 people, and I know like there is always a beginning. There is always going to be a beginning, and there is always going to be a journey. You understand? For you to get from a reception as an entry level, and for you to get maybe to the customer service manager, for you to get maybe to the next level, it is a journey. But I feel like the Gen Zs are running from the process because they feel like they have the options. But do you know, us guys still have the options. They have the options of working as a freelancer. Yes, I have the options. Yes. The same opportunities which are available to you as a Gen Z are also available to me. So that brings the question, really, what is informing this thing the Gen Zs are calling oppression at the workplace? I think they should sit down and ask themselves that question, because these are things which really need to have a deeper conversation. Si kuamka tunatuseme tunafinyiliwa mateso. No, we need to have a real conversations on where do I want to be. And that said, by the way, guys, kuna Gen Z wengine very serious sana hapa nje. Kuna wengine wataingia kwa company, and by the time these guys are hitting 27, these guys are in very serious positions.
No, huyo ni yule ni bread and butter nyumbani. Huyo ni ule
Those are the optics she was talking about. Gen Zs, kuna Gen Zs watu serious hapa nje sana. They are not working with this thing ati nikitaka kutoka job natoka. They're not working with the mind of oppression. They are approaching the corporate culture with a different kind of perspective. And I think that is the conversations the Gen Z should be having. Why are you feeling oppressed?
Fair question, fair point.
Yeah.
I think the kind of general Nini is that Gen Z are difficult to work with, right? And I think we are.
Not necessarily.
And I think we are. I think it's necessary, right? Yeah. Sometimes. I think you've mentioned it at a point, corporate culture, right? And systems I understand. And systems policies, and structure, 100%, you have to be run on something.
Yes.
But I think it's very dismissive of what you're saying. We don't know you, whatever, mateso. Because me personally, if I told you my story of things I have endured in the name of, I'm looking for experience. Because I'm also in the construction industry. Yeah. I understand what you mean. I cannot wake up and nipewe project 100 million leo. No, I cannot.
And I'm not trust you with that.
And I'm not expecting that.
So what are you expecting?
Hold on. Hold your horses. Aya. I don't. What I'm expecting is what is one mandated by law, right? I think na catch feelings.
This is very interesting. What is not mandated by law? What is not mandated by law?
Because companies are telling us that you're gaining experience. Are you while I'm working there, hunipay fair, right? Una expect na kuja aje hapo daily, nakula nini, you know. I'm gaining experience sikatai, because of course when you get out into like the construction industry, you're a graduate architect, right? You're supposed to work for a registered architect for like 2 years, sit an exam, and then now you're an architect, a registered architect rather, right? I am in that process. I'm not trying to skip any part of that process. That is how it is. That is what I signed up for, even on Nafanya. However, if I go to a place of work, they are not paying you, right? They are being very shifty about things. You ask about a contract, inakuwa what do you want to do with that contract? Unataka kufanyia nini? Unatupeleka wapi na you know.
And maybe
those things, and then and it's not just that. I think part of what corporate culture is, you get into, I think maybe this is what you mean, I'm not very sure. You get into a company, inafika 5 watu watoki. They are working overtime. It's not compensated.
Yeah.
It's not, but ukitoka hiyo 5, wende unaonekana vibaya. But by contract, you're supposed to be there till 5. Now, that's what I'm saying. Corporate culture in itself is very exploitative. Yes. And Miss is saying, you see these ones that we are saying, because of course this is a spectrum. Of course there's people who, and I'm not saying that they are there, or the Gen Zs that are behaving, which we want to say, behaving like millennials, the ones who are there and are not complaining about the system, or not, you know, the ones who are quiet and they're not complaining, they're doing things. You do realize corporate culture needs you to be a yes man. It needs you to be very soft spoken for it to. You are a person before you are and this lack of treating people as human. That's what maybe I'm having a problem with, because I have been in a company yenye. Okay, I was looking at companies yenye that you see that overtime yenye these people are not being paid. But if you leave at that 5, which you're supposed to leave at, you utaitwa meeting.
Is it true?
Utaitwa meeting.
First of, no. First, that's meeting. First of, I must say that, you know, easy issues una raise ni isolated issues, not each and every company. Yeah.
I think
okay, that's very good.
Yes,
that's very good.
Just to add to that, I think you also have an option of if, let's say, for example, this company X is treating you in some sort of way you don't feel appreciated. It's
interesting you've said just quit, but when we are saying just quit, we are being Gen Z. You do realize you're proving our point.
When I want to quit to go to it.
What we are saying is you're being treated badly, right?
Yes.
We can't treat you this is company X, right?
Hold on.
And what we are trying to say is what the issues you are raising, they are not common to all companies.
Hold on.
For me, I get your point, and I really understand where she's coming from, because there's a company that I worked with, and it was
how many eons ago?
Several years ago. It was gruesome, and I'd say for real, there is need for also corporates or companies. You know, there are corporates who have a good culture. That is true. That is tick. And there are corporates that. They don't have that good culture.
Very many, by the way.
And those are the many.
Which is why I find it very new when you say it's an isolated case.
I say isolated because, I mean, I think it's so interesting. Why would you be served?
Fine, let me give you personal.
No. What I was saying is, let me just bring you back to what I was saying, yeah? There's something you say, there's something I said before, like you see that period ya entry level umeingia job, your time ndio unafaa kuwa ukilearn these things, this company culture, this is the time you're supposed to be learning. And as a person, you have not been nailed jambo utakaa company X for 10 years, 20 years. If you're here for like the first month and you feel like no, this culture is not what I want. And one thing, and why I said it's an isolated case, is there are companies with a good culture. There are companies with good employee, employee like like programs and all. So if you sit down and you feel like in this first month, mi sitaki mambo ya kutoka 5 alafu na serve your notice, just quit. You have a choice and go look for a company which has a good, you know, company culture or something, or that fits what you want. But don't like be out here trying to change the entire corporate culture based on a personal, based on a personal, no, based
Hold
on a
on.
personal, based on
Na
a
tuanze.
personal.
No,
You cannot change the entire corporate culture
And
based
you
on what
see,
you feel
I
like,
think
because there are companies which are actually doing good with that company culture.
I think you're inadvertently proving my point.
I'm not
right?
proving your point.
Hold your horses.
Yes.
You're proving my point without intending on it, right? We're saying this Gen Z, some of them are quick, because I don't think it's everyone, of course. You know, there's extremes. There's people who are willing to really endure, and there's people who are really. We're saying let's cut across. Let's assume like fairly reasonable person, right?
Yeah.
I am an entry-level person getting into this system. One, I'm getting into this company. This is my first one. How am I supposed? I'm relating it to what? To know that this is not how corporate is generally.
That's
one.
also- that's
Hold
why I
on.
suppose.
Hold on. One, I don't have anything to relate it with, right? Two, something that I have realized. I don't know if you've also, because we are both in the built industry. There's being a woman in a male-dominated field, and you will find how easy it is to get taken advantage of, right? And it's not me. It is a story that we can sit down with most of the girls in my class, and we have similar cases, right? And then you want to sit here and tell me that they are isolated cases. How?
I said isolated because not every company has a bad
Okay,
culture.
we are
So
20
what I'm
babes.
saying
We
is-
are no, yes, I get not every culture.
Yes.
No, obviously, we can't have 100% bad.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in a class of 20 and all of these babes, most of them, unless the ones who went to work for someone they know, or you know, Izo,
Yeah.
we are having similar experiences. But me, who had a really bad experience the first time, I went through this and this and this and this and that. How then do you tell me I go to another company, like this could be their culture, or like maybe after work, you know, nivumilie. I have seen how bad it can get. It is very hard to tell me then to sit when it starts getting bad, because it's very now high. Because mimi ndo at the end of the day, I'm the one who was working through A and B and C and trying to mind you. Really trying to stay there to a point and you're like, ay, apana. There's something that's wrong. I might not know a lot about the industry. I might not know. I'm very green. And later on, actually, is when I was finding out that it's what they're doing. They're getting girls to move to Mombasa. They're getting girls to move to Mombasa, and at the guise of work, right? And then you get there, and then they give you all of this work, and then they never pay you, and over and over and over again for years. Yet you tell me isolated case.
I totally agree with you that there are some companies that are exploitative, and I think we need just to call them out.
Yeah.
We need to call for sanity. We need to call for employers being logical in terms of when they assign you work. Probably they should give you.
They should be human.
Like all companies, be it a startup, be it. I think that's the first step towards probably improving the work culture. That is one, and two. Also now for us as employees, you need to, as employees, we need to understand that there's wherever I'm going, this is their policies, these are the structures.
Yeah.
You need to understand.
Yes.
You get, and the bad sides of it, we need to call them out. We are not going to say that just because you are employed by company X, we are going to allow you to be mistreated. You get, and the process there is the legal part, you know, of how to
go about
solve
things.
it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're being maybe sexually harassed, you can report to your HR. If the HR probably is the one doing that. There's that process.
There's always a system.
There's always a system. The only problem is that sometimes the system is the one
against-
Yeah,
against
exactly.
the employees.
that's
Works against.
it's
Yeah.
eating its own people. You know,
yeah.
that is the main biggest challenge. But all in all, we need to call the companies out and try and see how well probably we can have a harmonious system where both the Gen Zs and the millennials can work in such a space. I think if we do that, then tunaweza kwa space fiti. I understand that it can be really lengthy, and we can go into so many other aspects and all that.
Yeah.
And we can have a build up of this conversation, probably get to know if it happens at home, if besides work, where else Gen Zs or millennials
are feeling stretched or are feeling, oppressed.
Probably, maybe we can have parting shot or something like that.
I don't know.
But at the end of the day, we come back to how you're brought up. If maybe you are in a family that you are not doing well at home, humble and stuff, you will find that person at job anajituma. They don't like feel mateso and stuff because they know back at home these people are looking up to. But if I've been grown in a setup whereby my parents take care of everything, they're not pressuring me to move, they're not doing then I come to your company, I'm supposed to learn from you, but you're always sending me mandazi and tea outside. Mbona nisikuit? I will wake up one day and I'll say, imateso, imetosha. Because I don't have a responsibility. You're also you're supposed to train me, but instead of training me, you're taking advantage of me. Mnanifanya errand person wenyu. I have to deliver, I have to do this for you. Or maybe these are your tasks, but you delegate them to me.
Yeah.
So I feel the burden of that. So that is, at the end of the day, I'll be like, no, fuck it. I can at least go and do something better.
So we have to call out the.
At the end of the day, it goes back to.
And for us as millennials, we are the ones now probably who are supervising the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Let us understand them. Let us understand where they're coming from.
Of course, definitely.
So that we can have what is it called, like a generation,
generation change,
rollover of generations.
Yeah. Maybe your parting shots or maybe your views. I know. Okay, maybe just even as before you go, I know this is a broad discussion, and we could probably just have another session in the next few days. But just as a parting shot, Chau.
As a parting shot, I think we need to reimagine the workforce. I'm not gonna blame millennials or whatever. Please remember that the 9-to-5 workday was created in 1926, right? It is very outdated. So as much, and corporate culture serves corporate culture. It is very selfish. I am not saying that you should be disrespectful of people's work and the things they have set up, but I think people need to learn how to sift between. Of course, in life you will suffer, but there's suffering that is worth it, and there's suffering that is not worth it, and being taken advantage of. I think, especially something that maybe I could tell people: get a mentor, get someone who has been in whatever industry, because they will help you at least see hapa wanakupima. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Sheila, your parting shots?
Well, as a HR, allow me. Allow me. Okay, guys. So one thing I'll say is that being opinionated doesn't mean you cannot be balanced. And that I'll just keep saying that. As much as Gen Zs are opinionated, as much as they want to change, as much as they want, all that, I still believe that they need to balance their opinions, because we all exist within an ecosystem of people, of systems, of cultures, and so many things. So I feel like they should balance their opinions. And the second thing is that also, I'll encourage the Gen Zs to not look at everything from a negative point of view. There are good companies with good cultures, with good programs, and with good systems for everyone to grow and thrive and be what they want to be. So one thing I'll say is just be self-aware of yourself, and just kind of, like she said, get someone who can take you through the process or take you through the journey in the job market, so that you're not facing these things, or you're not facing these challenges which will make you feel like you're being oppressed or natesa or what. So I would say just have someone to guide you through. But apart from that, also have a balanced opinion, knowing that you're existing within an ecosystem. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's been our show. I hope to our audience who've been, we've gotten a point or two out of this, and it's been educative. We will try to have another session in the near future, hopefully. And yeah, it's been the conversation has been real, unfiltered, and feisty. I think the next time we need to have fire extinguishers now here, because
Like the JKL kind of thing.
imekuwa moto. Yeah, so happy to have you guys on board, and hopefully we can find time to come again and have another sitting. It's not the only topic we can discuss, and let's continue bringing out our being open to what situations we are in at any given point in time. All our socials are at Dingy Corner, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, IG. Please kindly, kama hii content imekubamba, tafadhali finya hiyo kitu, smash that button, man. Kindly like,
Share,
Comment.
Subscribe.
Share, comment.
yeah, and for our guests on the show, we will also put their handles, so maybe you can, if you want to reach out, or if you want to, So yeah, it's been real. Keep it real. God bless. Have a beautiful evening.
Cheers.
thank you, cheers.
Bye.
Awesome.